Now let's look at Noble Drew Ali. Here's a man that died a young man. Noble Drew Ali. He lived from 1886 to 1929. I salute my brother. He's the first man to bring Islam to us in the way he tried to bring it. And I thank him, thank Allah for him.
There was people before he came that belonged to the Moorish Americans by Noble Drew Ali. They didn't have this on it, the moon and the star. It was blank. It was blank. But the hat was red. They wear black ones and red ones.
Moors is the name given to the Muslims from North Africa that invaded the Iberian Peninsula and brought Islam to Spain and Portugal and southern France. So he's calling us Moors, and he dressed his followers in the fez.
And though this very flamenco music may have Muslim roots, there are some Spaniards who are a little resentful of the touristic obsession with Spain's Moorish past. Take the great mosque at Cordoba. You'll find plenty of Spaniards keen to point out that it's now a Roman Catholic cathedral built on the site of an even earlier Christian church, dating from the time of the Visigoths, whom the Moors had superseded. And somehow that misses the point that this mosque is one of the most extraordinary religious buildings on earth. It's structures like this that gave medieval Cordoba the name the ornament of the world, with its fountains, its thousands of libraries, well-paved, well-lit streets. It made places like London look frankly barbaric. And under the Catholic monarchs and General Franco, it was the Muslim contribution that was airbrushed out of history, and Catholicism became a state-sponsored religion.
I was born in a generation under Franco regime where everybody was forced to be Catholic, where any other religion different than Catholicism was forbidden. And even you could go into prison if you have any outward manifestation of any other religion.
Even today, when Spain's Muslim heritage generates so many millions of tourist dollars, you can detect a certain local sniffiness about our Moorish obsessions. Don't forget the Visigoths, they cry, and they point to the few defaced lumps that remain from the era of the Christian barbarians, as though the 900-year Arab presence was a kind of aberration.
Las cúpulas. Por ejemplo, los mosaicos todo se trajeron a los mejores orfebres bizantinos pagados para que le hicieran esos trabajos. Luego de innovación árabe, nada de nada, sino dinero y pagar los mejores que había en aquel momento en el mundo.
¿Qué crees de la herencia musulmana aquí? Claro, pero fueron copiando mucho de los romanos.
Muchos de los romanos. Ah, los musulmanes.
Los romanos tuvieron antes que los árabes aquí en Andalucía.
Sí, sí. You think much of the culture is Islamic?
No.
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 No, no, no.
They,
No. It derives from the ancient Visigoth, from the ancient Christian culture.
Here the Visigoth and in the north the Celtic, pienso que quizás se le da demasiada importancia, sobre todo en este momento y en este siglo, a la prominencia de la cultura islámica. Ha existido, ha tenido muchas cosas importantes y aquí está, pero es una más, como nos podrá pasar a lo mejor dentro de 2 siglos con la multiculturalidad.
the sheer ignorance that exists in this country about Islam and about the Islamic past. I mean, that's a pity, and it's surprising to which extent people ignore the richness of the Islamic civilization in this country. People want to somehow stress this Visigothic heritage, but obviously the Visigothic heritage is, I mean,
It's pretty difficult to work out what it is.
It's difficult to work it out, yeah.
Many people are proud of the Moorish past, but that's not to say they look forward to a Moorish future.
We made the difference, no we, but people in general, made this difference that the Alhambra was made for another Moorish people, but not this Moorish people right
Not
now,
the Moroccans who
living-
come and live in modern Granada.
The ones, and maybe they have kind of problem with these people. It's a question of patriotism. People who think like Spain is like my nation,
country.
yeah, my
Corazon.
country, yeah, and they want like very white and perfect people. They don't want no Muslim or not anyone to come here, but maybe it's a half of Spain thinks that it's all right, and the other half of Spain is like afraid of this. Maybe they're just scared.
Trying to do some videos a little more frequently. I've been contacted by a couple Moors that in there a little bit, speaking about they nationalized through RV Bay Publications. RV Bay Publications is a knowledge tree that you are to pick your knowledge from, taste, and best believe that knowledge is always ripe and crisp. However, that is not who you're nationalizing through. If you look at the proclamation or the name correction, you'll see at the top it says the Moorish Divine and National Movement of the World. Now, Moorish Divine and National Movement of the World was set up to counter the fraud committed when the Freeman's Bureau was eradicated or taken out. So I'm going to go to the Quran questions for Moorish Americans. Number 5. Who is Noble Drew Ali? He is Allah's prophet. Number 7. What is the duty of a prophet? To save nations from the wrath of Allah. So right there is nations. The prophet was a universal prophet. He came to save nations, multiple nations. So as far as Europeans naturalizing through the Moorish Divine and National Movement, that's who you're naturalizing through. I wanted to speak about Europeans that naturalize, grab the paperwork or what have you, and start running around these territories acting like they own something. You don't own nothing. You are here to preserve and produce resources for the Moors when they need it, such as almost like a custodian. You go, if you're a custodian, you go, you mop, you take out garbage, you clean the windows, just make sure everything's right. However, you don't own it. You don't own the land, none of that. You're just here to farm, produce the crops, whatever you need to do to make it more comfortable for the Moors here in their empire. And you get to partake of some things that you wouldn't get if you was over in Europe enslaved, you know what I'm saying?
Y'all want to know what that is? That's called a fez or a tarbush. You might see different Europeans wearing it, but actually it belongs to the Moors, i.e. the various copper-toned people on the American continent, which are the true Americans. I've noticed that only me and another European has actually went the de jure way and got permission from the Aboriginal indigenous people of the landmass, actually got permission from them to be here. The rest of the Europeans that are conducting themselves with U.S. citizenship, and the ones that are minority minded thinking that this is the United States, this is the reason why you are being taxed. This is the reason why you're being arrested, pulled over for not wearing seatbelts, because you are obligated to statutory codes. Am I? No. Will they arrest me for it? Yes. Will they get violated? And will they be standing in front of the International Court of Justice and International Criminal Courts before they die? Yes. Will the Moors, i.e. indigenous aboriginal people of the landmass of the American continent, will they be standing in front of the international courts? Yes. So, what's your nationality? What's your citizenship? You wasn't taught this in the institutions of what you call school. So you got a U.S. citizenship. What is a U.S. citizenship? Well, United States, or U.S., is a corporation. And the only reason why you're on this land is because they're colonizing. That means that Christopher Columbus landed, or he didn't land, he rode over here with some Moors because he didn't know how to navigate through the water. So he navigated over here, then brought more and more Europeans. They started killing off the Native Americans, which you think are light-skinned people with feathers, which is not true. A true American is the various copper-toned peoples on the American continent, i.e. the Moors, the descendants of Moroccans born in America, Al-Moroccans, Americans. Get them to synonymous in your mind and get them together. Al-Moroccan, American.
Another thing I was wanting to speak about is the Great Seal. Any Moor that's active in an adept is a participant in the Great Seal. As you know, the Emir of the Great Seal is Taj Tariq Bey. So be active in an adept and be participant in the Great Seal. That's who you are sending to get your seals, or when you when you're sending your proclamations, name correction, that's who you're sending it to, is the Great Seal of Moorish, the Great Seal, National Association of Moorish Affairs. It's not RV Bay publication, so don't get it twisted.
We're going to go right into the Stargazer. This is a Moor, Roosevelt Kavanaugh, from the Office of the Grand Worthy Patron. I found this with my wife's grandmother's stuff, with the little gold 5-point star, the temple cards, and what have you. And basically what this shows me is, Muslim sons, such as myself, a lot of them, they know that Moors that are still asleep are unconsciously searching for their way back to their illustrious history and their estate, and to connect back with their ancestors through their DNA. So they're going to feed them things that makes them feel like they're full, but they're not going to give them the vital keys that they need. So when they start looking, the first place they'll go is to lodges such as Stargazer. Now, once you turn it over, immediately you see Cecilia Dunlap Grand Chapter, State of Kentucky, and its jurisdiction, Inc. Now, whoever becomes a member automatically is put under the jurisdiction of this corporation. And once you turn it over, it says, now please take due notice and govern yourselves accordingly. It has a proclamation that is awful familiar to, what the Moors do. Once again, State of Kentucky and its jurisdiction, Inc. Roosevelt Kavanaugh, Grand Worthy Patron. Now they start giving out keys in here. That's going to sound similar to what Noble Jew Ali taught and put in his literature. However, it's missing vital keys. Such as the circle. The circle stands for virtue. It also stands for eternity, having no beginning or end. Now, circle 7, the four gates, and align with the seasons that they constantly recycle. So they're making it. They're giving you keys, but they're not giving you the vital keys. Like our work is mainly composed of triangles, circles, and squares. The triangle is the most used symbol. The triangle is the most used symbol. It is used in signs, the star carpeting around the altar of the signet. The triangle signifies body, mind, and soul, of which we are all composed. It also represents birth. Triangles are arranged to compose our central star of 5 points. Now, love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Moorish flag with green 5-pointed star. They're feeding them what they're unconsciously looking for, but they don't get the full 100% detail of what they need to get. Now it says it signifies mind, body, and soul, which we are all composed. It also represents birth. Now the triangle, is the pyramid, the Great Seal. It's on the back of the fiat note, and that's the Great Seal of the Moors, the Moroccan Empire. See, this was set up by my bloodline, and Moors, gave up their birthright and their name for a morsel of bread, and this is what happens. Which some will be told, but now we're gonna get into the 5 points of the star, symbols of the 5 important rules to be observed, which is love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. However, it says the first, that we should not withdraw our hand from one needing our help. Now, that's uplifting of fallen humanity. But the second, that our feet should never halt in our pursuit of duty. The third, that we pray for those in distress. Now, if you see someone in distress, you're not just going to drop to your knees and pray and just, let it be. You're supposed to uplift. You're not supposed to just pray and let it be. But anyways, see, that's where they're trying to get them to be passive and obedient. The fourth, that a faithful breast conceal the faults of secrets of our friends. The fifth, that approaching evil is frequently averted by friendly admonition. Another one, what I was wanting to get to is the Hex Alpha. Okay. The equilateral triangle is a symbol of deity. It is symmetrical and perfect and symbolizes the perfect being. It represents the 3 essential attributes of deity: omniscience, omnipotence, omnipresence. Knows all powerful, and present everywhere at the same time. When these triangles are superimposed, they form a double triangle or 6-pointed star. This is known as the Star of David. The equilateral triangle also represents the Trinity of God's almighty power, God's all-knowing wisdom, and God's all-embracing love. Now, when we study, we know the Hex Alpha is as above, so below. The triangle is representative of the Trinity, of triune principle, the harmonies of life, and is representative of each of us, as we are and come from a Trinity. Thus it is the symbol of civilization, as in the pyramids and the Great Seal of civilization. Now, you don't hear him talking about that over here, though. When we join with another person, we join the forces of positive and negative, male and female, and we create another person. Trinity, Sun, Moon, Rising. This symbol has been called the Hex Alpha, Star of David, and represents as above, so below. Thus the symbol of law, the compass and square, encapsulates the same. Now, if they would have gave them the principle of as above, so below, they would have started wondering why their 5-point star is upside down. Because they're thinking in the lower self. They're not getting the higher degrees so that they can be in their higher selves and know themselves. So the Europeans came over here and colonized. That's the only reason why we was allowed over here. If you didn't know, do your research. Find out that the Europeans, Irish Americans, came over here broke as fuck with nothing, and they immigrated. So when you're talking about oh, Mexicans and aliens and immigration. No, we're the ones that came over here and immigrated first. And the Moors is the ones that let us come over here and use the resources because we was being enslaved over in Europe. We was the ones that was enslaved in Europe. So yeah, you have a U.S. citizenship. The only reason why you're allowed over here is because they have forced their way on the land and they're colonizing. So before the shit hits the fan, you need to go contact a Moor, i.e. the Aboriginal indigenous people of the landmass, the various Coppertone peoples, and go the de jure way of it and ask them, tell them, I give my oath to the Constitution and the 5 points of light, love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. May I stay on your land and upkeep it and have custodial rights, your naturalization rights. That means that if you acquire land, you're to upkeep it. If you're able to have a house on this continent, you're supposed to upkeep it. It's not yours, you don't own it, but you have custodialship of it. That means you upkeep it and take care of it. Kind of like what when you have a child and they say you have custodial rights, that doesn't mean that you own your child because you done gave your child up as wardship because they're U.S. citizens, birth certificate. But yeah, custodial rights. Custodial, when you think of that, you think of, well, say you get hired as a custodian, you're hired to sweep and clean it up and clean that building up, but it's not your building, you're just taking care of it. That's what custodial means. So yeah, you get your go to the Moors, naturalize the de jure way and get your naturalization right and claim and declare your nationality, because the races as Europeans, they have your race down as white. Well, there's no white on it. You know what I mean? That's a status that has nothing to do with skin tone.
Also, I wanted to speak about as far as using motions. Moors are using motions. These Europeans are letting some of them go through. They're dismissing cases to fool you because they know you're going to run to other Moors and say, look, I used a motion, it got dismissed, so we need to start using that protocol. No, they are fooling you because they know when things get thicker, you're going to use a motion and it's going to show proof that you're navigating through their jurisdiction and their protocols. And actually, when you use a motion, they have statutes that state they can dismiss or deny your motion and not even have to give a reason why. So you need to keep in heavy rotation, writs in the nature of discovery, notice of default judgment, affidavit of facts, writ of error. You need to keep them in heavy rotation, stay de jure, and keep it recorded. And even when they deny, they're going to say it's a motion, but you have it on record, that it's not. Even when they deny the writ, you're still recording the violations of your liberty, usurping, the colonizing bodies are usurping, and stealing people's hereditaments, all that. So keep it recorded. Don't use emotions, man. Throw them out the window. Try to get this light up a little more, brothers. I want to speak about vibrations slowing down. My bloodline uses a lot of things to slow down the vibrations of the Asiatics and Europeans. I go to a store, I'm in line, I see Europeans that can't even use cash registers. Their vibrations are being slowed down. That's why you can see me on the camera while we're in flesh, because our vibrations were slowed down. We're gonna go to the Holy Quran, Moorish Holy Temple of Science, and it's chapter 1, the fall of man, the creation and fall of man. So Allah, the husbandman of everything that is, threw forth this human seed into the soil of soul. It grew apace, and man became a living soul, and he became the Lord of all the kingdom of the soul. Hark now, let every creature hear, the plane of soul is but the ether of the spirit plane, vibrating not so fast. So you need to keep your vibrations raised. When you hear chop and screw, you get up in the morning, you jump in your vessel, go wherever you want. You turn the radio on, it's slow. It's slowing your vibrations down. They try to get you in get you to work or whatever, and 9 in the morning, work you till you're 5 or 6. Then you try to get in bed and get to sleep about 10 o'clock because they know that pineal gland pops off around 11. So they're going to try to get you to sleep.
There's some more stuff I want to go in here. Once again, Roosevelt Kavanaugh. This is Order of the Eastern Stars of Kentucky. So it's kind of funny, you know. Prince Hall affiliation. Let's see if we can go into any more of these diluted keys and watered down keys. You know, they have it's set up just like how, you know, Noble Drew Ali set up everything, but it's not teaching you you know, civics at all. You know, it might speak of jurisdiction, but let's see what else we see. You know, it speaks of King Solomon's signet rings worn by Eastern stars have the 5-pointed star, which eludes the Pentagon. This ring cannot be legitimately worn by any member of the order until she is knowledgeable enough to protect it. The Pentagon is also considered as an outline for the 5 stages of man: birth, life, death, resurrection, and ascension. The Pentagon with the altar in the center is a symbol of man with his arms outstretched, feet outstretched, and heart aligned by the word of God, represented by the Bible on the altar. Then it just goes on and on. But basically, I'm just showing you the parallel of what Noble Drew Ali was teaching and what they created because they knew these Moors was coming. You know, Noble Drew Ali said the time when they was going to come with their eyes open, so they started doing that. But they was just going to feed them with stuff, you know what I'm saying, that's going to make them feel at ease, but they really didn't get the keys. Now I want to jump into one more thing. This is from Think This Over, You Moors. They must not practice the principle of segregation among any group in his or her temple. Let it be he or she that is head of any temple of the Moor Science Temple of America, that if there should come any grievance that cannot be settled by the head, notify the prophet at once. Now it says, they must not practice the principle of segregation among any group in his or her temple. We're going to jump to 100. Maybe it's 180. Okay. My fault. My error is 232. Bro J. Foster Bay of Temple number 4 and 25 said that the Holy Prophet said the European is our fellow man. Now, a lot of these Moors is making segregation. They're heated when they find out that I went, you know, to the adept chamber at a couple temples. They are heated. But why? You know what I'm saying? Because, I'm your fellow man. Another thing I wanted to touch on was, the prophet says, I'm going to make the European enforce my law. That don't mean that they're just enforcing that law. He said, I'm going to make them. So if he's going to make me enforce his law, for me to enforce that law, am I not authorized to enforce that law? Am I not allowed to be in the temple? The only argument or defense that I hear from Moors are, well, the prophet said that we do not wish to amalgamate with the pale-skinned nations of the world. Well, what does that have to do with enforcing his law? If he's going to make me enforce his law, I have to study his law. I have to be a part of his law. I have to live his law. And part of living that law is what he said is be in attendance at the temple more, or be in attendance at the temple. So I don't know why.
I am a 32nd degree and Holy Royal Arch Mason. a tried and true student and scholar of the ancient mysteries and ancient Freemasonry, which are one and the same. Some of you may know this as more science. I come to you at this time with a very important message. Through my diligent studies of the world religions and secret societies, there is no better teaching for the Asiatics in America than the divine wisdom of the Honorable Prophet Noble Drew Ali in the Moore Science Temple of America. I bear witness to the teachings of Prophet Noble Drew Ali being the sure foundation stone for the redemption and salvation of Asiatics in America who have been misnomered Negro, Black, African American, colored, etc.
So yeah, raise your vibration, I'm not talking about the flesh also. I'm talking about the flesh, I'm talking about the soul. Spirulina or whatever for the flesh. Do what you need to do. But meditation, breathing, just different things. Also, what I want to talk about is this is from Oral Statements. Where is it at? Let me find it real quick. Excuse me, brothers and sisters. This is for the Europeans. Brother E. Thomas L. said that the Holy Prophet said all nations will turn against the United States one day. So Europeans, you run around here saying United States, you're U.S. citizens or whatever. And when these nations turn, all nations will turn against the United States one day.
When North America, South America, and Central America is actually a part of Africa, because under the water there's land. It's no different. This is Northwest Amexem, Northwest Africa. You're not told this in school. But these people, these Europeans that's wearing them fezzes, they know it. And you'll see them in on Sunday saying hallelujah, bless Jesus, bless God, when really, in secret, they study Islam. And Islam, if you read the Circle 7 Holy Quran, prepared by Noble Drew Ali, the first chapters in it speaks of Jesus, which is really Esau. People need to do their studying. Just because you throw that cap in the air and you get what they call a diploma, it doesn't mean that you can't crack a book every now and then, because you're far behind. You're operating on brainwashed illusions that this is your land and that's your car and them are your clothes and this is your house and that's your yard. No, it's not. It's not.
What's happened to us, Congress? Am I different? Yeah. Have I changed my pants? No. Deep down, you want to wear wider bottoms, you're just not secure enough to do it. Do I wear skinny ties? Yeah. Coach, wide ties make me look heavier than I am, and I'm heavy enough. Do I do my hair with a weed whacker? I admit. But take into consideration what you're doing. The Democrat, and I agree with Mr. Obey, and I've had my run-ins with him. There's probably no one brighter in this whole place. Mike Myers, an FBI undercover agent posing as an Arab sheik, gave him $250,000, captured by videotape. And you let him go till after the break. the two members who violated a 17-year-old page boy and a 17-year-old page girl, which is rape in every state, were not expelled. If you know law enforcement and you got a target, you want a confession. And when you can't get that confession, you want an admission. And I am telling you this right now. They have more tapes on me than NBC. I did nothing wrong. That's why you go ahead and expel me. And I believe this judge is so afraid of what's resonating throughout America, who believe that they should not have to fear their government, and the Congress is their last hope to take it back. And I'm saying this, you Speaker, take it back. No American should fear their government, and this guy doesn't. And I'm ready to go. You expel me. It'll make it easier for me to really jack me good. But you know what you'll have done? You'd have taken the standards of a RICO case down to less than a DUI, where you need a .10 to get a conviction. Now let me tell you what happened to me early Saturday morning. I was up in Portage County, a new part of the district, Ted, and I didn't run against you because I thought I'd beat you easily and I wanted to give you a break. I left my car, and at 2:30 in the morning I pulled out, and I got pulled over by a township police car and a county sheriff. The window doesn't work on the car, so I opened up the door. They couldn't see me but said, "Mr. Trafficant, can we see your registration and license?" And it had dealer tags on it. I did. They asked me to get out of the car. They asked me to walk around the back of the car. They asked me to do my ABCs. Then they asked me to do this with all four fingers on both hands. Then they asked me to stand and put my left foot in front of my right, take 9 steps, stop, turn, and return. Then they asked me to lift my right knee with my left foot on the ground and count to 30. Try that. Then they said, reverse, put your right foot on the ground, pick your left knee up, count to 30. And I did that. They said, will you mind a breathalyzer? I said, knock yourself out. It was .001. Here's what I asked them. Did the FBI tell you that was my car and asked you to see if you can get a DUI on me? They looked at each other real funny. And I can't tell you exactly what I told them because of house decorum. But I told them if I find out it's an FBI agent that did it, I'd tear his throat out.
When the prophet said that, do you think he was talking about the de jure or the republic, or if he was talking about the demos, the mobocracy, the democracy? I think he's talking about the democracy. So the U.S. citizens that are under 14th Amendment, they're gonna get blamed for everything. Just like when you're in their venues and they have a jury of U.S. citizens, they're going to try to blame it off on them. If they find you guilty and you're being convicted, they're passing the blame off on the jury because they're the ones who found you guilty, not the administrator, not the prosecutor. It's the jury, the U.S. citizens. They're the ones that's going to catch hell for real in the end. And if you're saying that you're part of that mobocracy, you're going down too, brothers and sisters.
Moors be like that, but Moors already went over the prophecies and all that. Let's go ahead and jump into some more. Let's get into the civics, Constitution, and we'll get into affidavits. There are numerous cases where the Supreme Court has rebuked the inferior courts of the officers of those courts, admonishing them to preserve the rights of the people, just as the federal courts. Note, AA 222141, A1 citizens with a permanent character, comes from the U.S. Code, United States Code, Title 141, Chapter 2, Section 141. So whatever they call a tax exempt, which it's not, because it's 222141, that's the U.S. Code, letting them know that the United States does not have jurisdiction in Morocco. Now, if you don't know, we in Morocco, brothers and sisters, and you can delete that all you want, but I'm still going to come back and then I'll just get into greater detail. It represents the highest rank of citizens. In 1956, they relinquished the jurisdiction of the United States and Morocco by President Eisenhower. All pending cases were disposed of by 1960. The inhabitants of Africa are the descendants of the ancient Canaanites from the land of Canaan, which, you know, we're just going over basic stuff that Roosevelt Kavanaugh should have dropped all this on them, but he didn't. Now, my Gladys Hudson L, my wife's grandmother, she had the temple cards from 1939 from Kirkman Bay, which around this territory, it was on the 6th of June 1939, and these are her papers, where it has the statement of corporation, and it has their signatures. This is Mary Cliff Bay. Another thing I wanted to touch on here is, when I was looking through this, when you see Resolution 75, where it speaks of, you know, using the titles El Bay, Ali, it has it in here as well. Yeah, it says the particular object for which said corporations is formed shall be to teach the Quran of Muhammad, to teach, preach, and live the religion of Islam, to propagate the faith of Islam and extend its learning and truth, also the learning and truth of the Prophet Noble Jew Ali, and to recognize also the right of its members to use the name affixes El or Bay or any other prefixes or suffixes to which they have herefore been accustomed to use.
These labels were created by slave owners and given to their slaves in 1779. Many today, in 2016, still identify with these labels. Words are very important and very powerful, and they have a very strong effect on the human conscious and subconscious mind. These labels were forced upon the Asiatics as a means to dehumanize them and to take away or weaken their identity, their power, their culture, their heritage, and much more. It is very important that you stop identifying with these labels and that you proclaim your nationality and divine creed in the Moorish Science Temple of America. Look into and discover the gifts that the Honorable Prophet Noble Drew Ali prepared for you long ago. I leave you on the 5 points of Moorish science: love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice.
Now, what's funny in here is on this document where it's saying name affixes El, it has another one, or Bay, but they scratched out one of them, and you can't really tell what it is, but one of them has been scratched out. I don't know if you can see it. It's right there where it says El, but then it knocks that one. They scratched that one out, if you can see it. Or Bay or any other prefix or suffix. I don't know why they would scratch that one out, but it's the same as Resolution 75, but this is incorporated though. capital stock, non-stock, organization tax, none. So this is for like more saying, all you know, the cards you have ain't real or whatever. I mean, say what you want to say, brother, but I do what I do, and anything that I get, I'm going to preserve, you know. So let's see what else we can't get into. One thing I want to hit hard on is chapter 8. The council of the sevens, the council of the seven of the world. And Vidyapati said, our priests have all gone mad. They saw a demon in the wilds, and at him cast their lamps, and they are broken up, and not a gleam of light has any priest for men. The night is dark, the heart of India calls for light. The priesthood cannot be reformed, it is already dead. Once again, the priesthood cannot be reformed, it is already dead. Its greatest needs are graves and funeral chants. You need to declare your nationality so that you can be recognized by the international community. So you can be recognized by the world with the nationality and be able to claim and have your declaration, have your human rights. Because you don't have human rights when your race is down as white. So yeah, we was talking about that fez up there. Well, what Europeans did when they came over here and colonized, they separated the Moors. They took the Moors' children from the Moors and took them away from their mothers and their fathers and their grandmothers and their grandfathers so that they wouldn't know their history and they would forget. And that's what these schools are for. And they took the children and taught them Christianity and taught them that they was brought over here from Africa when they really was already here, to make them feel like they wasn't a part of this land when really they was. This was their land. This was their empire, the Moroccan Empire. Remember, Al-Moroccan, American, El Grebe Alexa, the Far West.
Regulations. Do you have any indigenous treaties that you'd like to talk about?
You know, there's one that I just learned about. I didn't know about it. There's a group called the Moors. And
where are they from?
Well, they were in Morocco, and they had some pretty powerful treaties. They were the first country that had a treaty with the United States after the Revolutionary War. And this group actually is taking credit for bringing humanity through the Dark Ages. They were the ones that had the Arabs in Spain. They were the ones that had all the knowledge. That was how we got out of the Dark Ages. It was through them. They had kept the light of human information burning. And of course, there are a lot of other indigenous groups too, but that was the one that I just learned about. I was excited to learn about them.
So the Moors that are acting as if they have the say-so of go, if they're acting, basically the elder Moors that are acting like they are the stoplights and the traffic lights where you can stop and you can go, they need to kill that, you know. I know you feel like you're protecting, but you're not, because you're hindering. As far as Muslim sons, and you're hindering. I know you're trying to protect. However, I'm speaking on the side of my bloodline. We know things are terrible unless the Moors get back on their throne, unless the Moors get back in their rightful seats. We know that it is going to be tragedy. So that's why I'm being active in the uplifting of fallen humanity. I'm telling everyone that I know, and I'm trying to get these people to get squared up with the Prophet, because if they don't, it's going to be nothing but tragedy. And Moors are trying to stop that, you know. Let these Muslim sons get in these temples and know how to act accordingly in the Moroccan Empire. A lot of them's going to have to take on water. like Prophet said, but there's going to be ones that are going to need to be farmers and continue to produce the resources. So you Moors can sit back, because that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to sit back and enjoy your estate. You know what I'm saying? I've already spoke already as far as Wabash Avenue and all of that. So yeah, I got some stuff out right now. Just sitting here studying, brothers. I had to go back and tell y'all all that regarding the Stargazer. That's Gladys Hudson L. Had to let y'all know about these Eastern stars, because there's the Eastern stars that are where I used to stay at. They was right down the street, and I seen them in the paper, and they bought like this little boy a wheelchair. As soon as I heard it, I went and took all my literature, took it to the print shop, the 101, the Holy Quran, the Mysteries of Silent Brotherhood, the prophecies, the literature, Universal Declaration of Human Rights, Resolution 75, and so on, etc. And I had them, it was like 15 notes, had them print them all up and put them all in one, compile them all in one little booklet, and I raced over there because, you know, they had on their fezzes, but they was adorned and marked, and Noble Drew Ali says, don't mark your fez because it shows you're free. I went over there, I called the brother, and I was like, look, I'm at your temple right now. You know about Noble Drew Ali? He's like, yes, I know about Noble Drew Ali. I said, meet me over here. He's like, I'm going to send somebody over there to get it right now. Just put it in, the brother never came. Put it in the door, and I left. Called him the next day. He was like, hey, did you get the stuff? He was like, yeah, I got the stuff. I was like, all right, brother, look over, let me know. Looked him up on Facebook and friended him. Months later, I hear him talking the same mess. So these Eastern stars know what's up, man. They're just trying to feed them something, and I'm not going to let that go down, because my duty is to enforce the Prophet's law, and that's what I'm going to do. So I expose them every chance I get. That's why you might see me getting little tips or taps and stuff, but in the end, you always see them fall back, because I don't play. I'm hitting them with facts. I'm not going to be hitting them with no emotions. So I'm gonna get I got some furniture and stuff to move around, and Islam. I'm trying to stay active and do what I do, brothers and sisters. So I stand squarely affirmed upon my oath to the 5 points of light: love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Latif Bey. Stay studying that jurisprudence, that civics, the Noble Drew Ali's literature, international law, all the declarations and treaties, the Constitution, enforce that Constitution, because that is the law of the land and the treaty. Peace and love.
Those of you who've been around me know that I've now begun to go back to myself. Go back to that which I believe will sustain me, and that which will help to purify me, and have begun to push back and ignore that which I had fallen back down to. More and more I am being guided to study more. If you are not grounded properly, then you are not going to pick up the correct vibrations from the universe and the cosmos. More and more I am being guided to study more. Or if we are trying to lift our brother or sister up, the way we do it is just as important as what we say. How we approach them is just as important. Huh? More and more I am being guided to study more. I have found, since my days with the Nation of Islam and no longer being in the mosque, that I now draw from all of our spiritual expressions. And that I now have come to, as many of you have heard me say many times, while I was supreme captain or national spokesman or whatever in the Nation of Islam, that if it were not for Africa, If it were not for the original black man and black woman, there would be no Islam, no Christianity, no Judaism. None of the world's major religions, as Dr. Yosef Ben Yaakov, Dr. John Henry Clark, and others have taught us, would be in existence if there were no original black man and woman and no Africa. Africa as it is called now. More and more I am being guided to study more. And I hope that the ancestors will guide me to touch on this Africa thing, to touch on Asiatic. Oh, they say, oh, you got to know what you're doing, boy. But you know it's a whole lot of us in here. I understand more. I'm a Moor. I understand that nationality is the order of the day.
It is. That's right.
I understand that. More and more I am being guided to study more. I can't say that I love you, that I care for you, that you are my sister, you are my brother, taking the prefix BR off and leaving other, that you are my other self. And I do not act morally and righteously toward you. I cannot do it. I make myself a lie. More and more I am being guided to study more. Muslim. Are you a Muslim, Khalid? Yes, I am. But I'm a Moor. Islam. I'm a Moor. And got sense enough to know I'm a Moor. And ain't gonna never argue with you that I'm not a Moor. And wouldn't come in your house or come among you and say I'm a Moor if I didn't feel in my heart, in my mind, in my soul that I am. I would tell you, God damn it, I don't know what the hell you're talking about. Ain't no more. So if I say it, I mean it. And if I mean it, generally, I say it. Are you a Muslim? Yes. But I know my roots. And I ain't Kunta Kinte.
Think about that. Think about your first words and when more study our Quran and questions for Moorish children, prosecutors and magistrates hate us in the admin buildings. Challenge. Dirty Moors call me pastor with status more tools. They talk big on Facebook with their fingertip truths. No face, no name, profiles on YouTube. Provocateur agents acting for payments, selling birthrights to those not patient, not willing to study, but ready and able to bang.
This is the Moors' land. This is the Moors' water, the Moors' electricity, everything. And there's even Moors paying electric bills and water bills, and it's their resources, it's their land. So yeah, as far as I know, there's only me and one more European that has actually went to the Moors and the de jure way and received their naturalization rights to be on this continent. And one day there's going to be Moors that's going to walk up to you Europeans, and they're going to have that fez on, and they're going to say, who gave you naturalization rights here on my land? And what are you going to do, pull out your birth certificate from a corporation? And they're going to take you and put you in the water until you go back to Europe, because you don't have no oath to the Constitution, and you don't have no oath to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, the 5 points of light. And you're going to be confused. So crack a book every now and then, you know?
You are an Aboriginal Indigenous American.